Commander Raider Voss stood at the observation window of the Galactic Armada's premier research station, his forearms folded tightly behind him as he gazed out at the view. The scene before him should have been one of triumph, yet a strange unease crept up his spine, a feeling he had not experienced in years. "Supreme Commander," came the voice of Chief Scientist LRA, carrying with it that infuriating air of superiority that all scientists seem to possess. "Project Terminus is ready for your final evaluation." Voss turned slowly, his scales catching the bright lab lights. "Show me," he instructed, following her toward the heart of the facility. The hallways were filled with the hum of activity as officers scurried out of their way. Voss had earned his reputation through the conquest of 30 planets, but this was different. The High Council demanded something extraordinary for their next target. "As you can observe, Commander," LRA began, gesturing to the massive screens on the walls, "we have perfected the delivery system. The biological agent can adapt to any atmosphere, any environmental condition. It is, for all intents and purposes, unstoppable." Voss watched the data scroll past, his expression cold. "Unstoppable?" he repeated, his voice low and threatening. "The High Council doesn't settle for something that's merely unstoppable. They demand flawless." "Of course," she stammered, correcting herself quickly, her secondary appendages twitching with nervous energy. "What I meant to say is that the weapon is perfect. We have tested it on over 3,000 species across 12 different sectors. The mortality rate is an absolute 100%. They reached the central lab, where a shimmering containment field held a swirling mass of purple particles. Voss stepped closer, his eyes narrowing as he studied the weapon that would ensure his place in military history. "Walk me through it again," he commanded, "and spare me the jargon." LRA brightened, activating a holographic display. "The brilliance of Project Terminus lies in its simplicity, Commander. Once released into a planet's atmosphere, it targets a species' stress response system. It turns their own survival instincts against them." The hologram displayed test subjects from various worlds writhing in agony as their bodies betrayed them. First, they experienced panic, then paralysis, and finally, she paused for effect, complete systemic failure. "And the safety measures?" Voss asked, his mind flashing back to the last failed weapon test that had wiped out an entire research facility. "Triple-layered safety protocols, sir," LRA answered, her voice more confident now. "The agent only survives within the host species. Once the target is neutralized, it breaks down into harmless elements. There's no lingering contamination, and it can't spread to our forces." Voss nodded thoughtfully, but something still gnawed at him. "The High Council demands results, and they want them within 3 cycles. Our target is a primitive planet called Earth. Their technology lags centuries behind ours, but intelligence suggests they're progressing far too quickly." "Earth?" LRA's eyes widened in excitement. "Perfect. Their primitive biochemistry is practically designed for Project Terminus. They produce adrenaline, cortisol, they're walking targets. Then perhaps you can explain why 3 previous attempts to subjugate their world have failed?" Voss demanded, his voice sharp as he glared at her. LRA flinched, stepping back under his scrutiny. "The Cracks fleet, the Void Priests, even the Mind Weavers, all failed at the hands of these lesser beings." She quickly regained her composure. "Those were blunt tactics, Commander. Raw force, psychic warfare, and direct invasion. Project Terminus is far more refined. The humans won't even realize the threat until it's far too late. Their own bodies will turn against them." Voss glanced back at the containment chamber, observing the deadly particles swirling within. His career, his legacy, and the future of the Galactic Armada rested on this weapon. Humans had proven to be more resilient than expected, but nothing could survive its own biology being weaponized. "Initiate deployment procedures," he commanded. "At last, I expect the first phase to be launched within 1 cycle. And Doctor," he fixed her with an intense stare, "should this fail, you'll wish the weapon had claimed you first." As Voss exited the laboratory, the burden of command weighed heavily on him. Soon, the humans would understand why the Galactic Armada had dominated the galaxy for millennia. Soon, their peculiar resistance to conquest would be nothing but a distant memory. If only he knew how mistaken he was. The war room of the Galactic Armada's flagship thrummed with holographic projections of Earth's solar system. Commander Raider Voss addressed his assembled officers, hand resting on the command table. "Report," he said, turning to Intelligence Director Nira Vale, who advanced with mechanical precision. "Earth is an ideal test site," Commander Vale started, her cybernetic eye buzzing as it projected supplementary data streams. "Its population hubs are tightly clustered. The circulation patterns of their atmosphere will help distribute Project Terminus across the planet with maximum efficiency." Strategic Officer Keldor Doran raised his hand, his tentacles twitching with doubt. "May I speak freely, sir?" "Go ahead," Voss replied, noticing Doran's hesitant stance. "The humans have shown extraordinary adaptability," Doran said. "They endured the Crack's bombardment by retreating underground. They resisted the Void Priests simply by rejecting their psychic influence. Even the Mind Weaver's telepathic network turned against them." Vale interrupted, her voice sharp. "Exactly why Project Terminus will succeed where others did not. The previous attacks were focused on their outer defenses. This weapon targets their very biological processes." The holographic display shifted to show human anatomy. "Their bodies rely on intricate chemical reactions," Vale continued. "Fear triggers adrenaline, stress releases cortisol. These functions evolved for survival, but Project Terminus will exploit them, turning these protective mechanisms into fatal weaknesses." "Show me the spread model," Voss commanded. The screen updated to display Earth's atmospheric currents. Red lines traced the projected path of the weapon's dispersal across the globe. "We will hit their largest population center first," Vale stated, zooming in on a region known as Asia. "The agent will be dispersed through their jet streams, achieving global saturation in 72 hours. Their own weather will aid in our cause." Doran still appeared unconvinced. "What about our extraction protocols?" Vale was quick to respond. "We have deployed stealth observers in low orbit. Once the extinction event begins, they will document the entire process for the High Council's records." Voss studied the rotating model of Earth, haunted by the failures of previous attempts at conquest. Their military capabilities, limited by their rudimentary technology, stood no chance against Project Terminus. Vale spoke with unshaken confidence. "They'll be too overwhelmed by the pandemic to offer any significant resistance. By the time they understand it's an assault, their command structure will be in chaos." "How long until deployment readiness?" Voss asked. Chief Engineer Maya Sen responded from her station. "The launch vehicles are prepped and ready, sir. We can begin the operation as soon as you give the order." Voss nodded slowly, his four eyes narrowing as he weighed the factors. The humans had shown unexpected ingenuity, but their biology would ultimately betray them. There was a certain elegance in the plan. "Send the final briefing to all command staff," he ordered. "I want every officer clear on their responsibilities. We strike in 6 hours." As his officers left, Vale remained behind. "Commander, there's one more issue. Our probes have detected unusual radiation readings from several human research facilities. They may be closer to a technological breakthrough than we anticipated." "Even more reason to act now," Voss replied. "Once Project Terminus succeeds, the High Council will finally understand why I chose Earth as the target. Its eradication will send a powerful message across the galaxy. Resistance against the Armada is pointless." Vale saluted and left, leaving Voss alone with the holographic Earth. He reached out his scaled hand, brushing through the image of the planet. "Soon, this beautiful world will be another trophy in the Armada's collection, another symbol of our technological superiority. Prepare to learn your place in the cosmos," he whispered to the empty room. "Your species ends today." At precisely 0 hour, the launch sequence began. From the bridge of the Armada flagship, Voss watched as deployment pods breached Earth's atmosphere, their stealth technology rendering them invisible to human detection systems. "First dispersal point reached," announced Technical Officer Rinceris. "Releasing Project Terminus over target zone, Shanghai megacity." The crew held their breath as the weapon's signature appeared on their screens, a spreading purple cloud, quickly dissipating into the morning air. Thousands of microscopic particles, each designed to target human hosts, descended silently upon the city. "Atmospheric distribution optimal," reported Chief Scientist Den through the command channel. "Local wind currents are surpassing our projections. Monitoring biological responses now." Voss leaned forward in his command chair. "Show me ground-level feeds." The main screen split into multiple sections, showing various parts of the target zone. Humans went about their morning routines, oblivious to the invisible threat surrounding them. Some jogged in parks, others boarded their crude transport vehicles, all unknowingly inhaling Project Terminus with every breath. "First physiological responses detected," Den announced, her voice tinged with excitement. "Elevated heart rates, increased perspiration, faster breathing. Everything is proceeding according to plan." But Voss noticed something. He saw it before anyone else. "Report," he snarled. "One moment, Commander." Den's voice trembled. "These readings, something isn't right. The agent is triggering their stress responses successfully, but instead of causing failure, we're seeing adaptation," the technician reported, his tone filled with tension. "The joggers are running faster, their faces flushed but energized. The workers are performing their tasks with increased focus and intensity. intensity. Even the children in the education centers are showing enhanced performance. Impossible, Vale whispered from her station, her cybernetic eye flickering as it analyzed the data. Their cortisol levels should be causing organ shutdown. The adrenaline surge should be overwhelming, causing heart failure. Secondary dispersal units launching now, Sarah announced, trying to maintain composure despite the rising tension in the room. Target zones: New York, Lagos, Mumbai. Voss tightened his grip on the command console, his focus shifting to the growing feed on the screen. In every target zone, the same pattern repeated. Humans absorbed the weapon, showed the expected symptoms, then showed improvement. Commander, Den's voice broke with disbelief. You need to see these cellular scans. The human bodies aren't fighting the agent, they're incorporating it. Their mitochondrial structures are adapting to process our weapon as an energy source. Preposterous. Voss stood, his scales rippling with anger. No species can survive Project Terminus, let alone benefit from it. Check your equipment, Vale interrupted sharply. We're detecting heightened activity at human military sites. Their biosensors must have noticed the atmospheric changes. They're mobilizing, but not in a panic. Their movements are deliberate, coordinated. The feeds from Shanghai showed the first dispersal zone entering its 4th hour of exposure. The humans there moved with newfound agility and purpose. Athletes shattered their records. Emergency responders operated with an efficiency bordering on superhuman. Even the elderly showed signs of renewed energy. Shut it down, Voss ordered. Recall all remaining dispersal units. Too late, Saris responded grimly. The agent has fully integrated into the atmosphere. Global exposure is at 100%. The bridge fell silent, the weight of the failure settling heavily. They hadn't just failed to eradicate humanity, they had inadvertently enhanced them. New data incoming, Vale announced, her cybernetic eye pulsing frenetically. Human communications intercepted. They've identified the agent's signature. Their scientists are already attempting to replicate it. They're calling it the gift. Voss stared in mounting horror as the new feeds displayed humans exhibiting extraordinary capabilities. Their stress responses, instead of destroying them, had evolved into a source of strength. Project Terminus, the perfect weapon, had turned humanity into something unimaginable. Commander, Den's voice came again, quieter this time. The High Council is requesting a status update. What should I report? Voss stared at the screens, his mind racing. The civilization below them had not just survived, it had evolved beyond their understanding. He had never witnessed anything like this in his long career. The humans hadn't just resisted, they had transcended. Tell them, he said slowly, his voice heavy with realization, that we made a grave mistake, and pray they recall us before humanity decides to thank us personally for their upgrade. On the screens, the first enhanced humans looked up toward the sky, as though sensing their observers, their benefactors watching from above. Their expressions were not those of fear or despair, but of newfound certainty. The weapon that was meant to destroy them had instead marked the beginning of something entirely unprecedented. The invasion of Earth had succeeded in one aspect. It had irreversibly changed the galaxy, but not in the way anyone had anticipated. The emergency council chamber aboard the flagship erupted into a frenzy as Chief Scientist Den projected the latest data streams. Commander Voss watched, grim-faced, as the calm of his senior staff crumbled, the full scale of their failure becoming apparent. These readings are beyond anything we've documented before, Den said, her usual calm scientific demeanor replaced by nervous twitching. The humans aren't just surviving Project Terminus. They're rewriting their genetic code to absorb it. The hologram displayed human cellular structures glowing with an eerie purple light, the same color as the weapon. But rather than deteriorating, the cells were multiplying, strengthening, and evolving. Impossible. Strategic Officer Doran slammed his tentacles down onto the conference table in disbelief. The agent was designed to target their stress response system. Every simulation predicted complete biological breakdown within hours. Apparently, Vale snapped, her cybernetic eye flashing as it processed the data at incredible speed. Our simulations were wrong. Look at these enhancement readings. Their muscle density has increased by 40%. Neural transmission speed is doubling. Even their bone structure is adapting. Voss leaned closer to the display, staring at the altered human biology. Show me the global distribution pattern again. A world map materialized, dotted with purple hotspots indicating where the agent was most concentrated. But something was wrong. The hotspots were shifting, spreading in ways that defied all established atmospheric models. They're controlling it, Den whispered, her voice laced with terror. The humans have somehow gained conscious control over the agent's spread. They're directing it, focusing it wherever they want. New alerts flashed flashed across the screen. Vale's hands flew over her console, sorting through the flood of information. Sir, we're detecting massive energy surges from human military facilities. They've adapted the agent to power their technology. Their weapon systems are advancing by decades with every passing hour. That's not the worst of it, Den added, pulling up additional data streams. The agent has integrated into their neural networks. Their brains are processing data at speeds we've never seen before. They're solving problems that should take centuries in mere minutes. The room fell silent as security footage from Earth played on the main screen. Humans broke world records in sports. Scientists made groundbreaking discoveries within hours. Military personnel displayed combat abilities that bordered on superhuman. The High Council must be alerted, Doran insisted, his skin shifting to a pale green as fear took hold of him. We need to initiate emergency protocols. Quarantine the entire system. Voss raised all four arms for silence. The Council has already been notified. They've convened an emergency session. But I fear containing this situation may no longer be possible. Commander, Vale interrupted, her voice trembling. New intel from our deep cover operatives. The humans, they're calling this the Great Awakening. They know it was engineered. They know we're here. The display shifted to show human news broadcasts. Their primitive media networks were alive with speculation about their mysterious benefactors. Some humans had already begun to suggest that the changes were of alien origin. They weren't angry. They were grateful. Grateful, Voss hissed, the word dripping with disdain. We tried to exterminate them, sir, Den said quietly, her voice laced with unease. I've completed the long-term projections. At the current rate of enhancement, in less than one planetary rotation, humanity will surpass our level of technological progress. In 2 rotations, they'll exceed it. The weight of this revelation hit the command staff like a physical blow. Their perfect weapon hadn't just failed. It had given rise to something unprecedented in galactic history, a species that could adapt to any threat and grow stronger with every attack. New transmission intercepted, Vale suddenly announced, her cybernetic eye flickering rapidly. Origin, Earth's unified military command. They're broadcasting on all frequencies, using our own communication protocols. She paused, the tension palpable. Sir, they're asking to open diplomatic channels. Voss stared at the message on his personal display, stunned. The humans knew who they were, what they had attempted to do, and yet, instead of preparing for war, they were offering to negotiate. There's more, sir, Den added, her voice barely audible. The agent, it's still evolving. The changes we're seeing in human physiology are becoming permanent. Heritable. The next generation will be born with these enhancements as natural traits. Voss felt the crushing weight of the consequences pressing down on him. In trying to eliminate a potential threat, they had inadvertently created something entirely new, a hybrid species that fused human adaptability with the power of their most advanced weapon. Commander Doran, Voss finally spoke, his tentacles pale with shock. What are your orders? Voss looked around the room at his command staff, their faces reflecting the same terror he felt. They had come to conquer, to assert their civilization's superiority. Instead, they had become witnesses to the birth of something far greater than themselves. Prepare a response to their transmission, Voss commanded, his voice steady despite the turmoil in his mind, and begin evacuation procedures for all non-essential personnel. Something tells me the galaxy is about to become a much more interesting place. On the screens, the enhanced humans continued their activities, their every move taking them closer to a future no one had anticipated. The weapon had backfired in the most spectacular way possible, and now all the Galactic Armada could do was watch as humanity stepped into a new era. The perfect weapon had created the perfect species, and the Galactic Armada would never be the same. Just 24 hours after the deployment of Project Terminus, the Galactic Armada faced its greatest military catastrophe in 10,000 years of conquest. Commander Raider Voss paced the bridge of his flagship, every communication channel flooded with emergency alerts. Status report, he barked, his voice rising with urgency. The tactical display flickered, filled with red warning indicators. Sir, humans have breached our stealth network, Vale reported, her cybernetic implants struggling to process the overwhelming flow of data. They've not only detected our observation posts, they've started reprogramming them. We've lost control of 60% of our surveillance systems. The main screen flickered to life, showing a human research facility located in what they referred to as the North American sector. Scientists at the facility worked at an impossible pace, their enhanced minds directly interfacing with alien technology. They should have needed centuries to understand this, Voss muttered, his frustration mounting. Surface installations compromised, Strategic Officer Doran reported, his tentacles writhing in agitation. agitation. They're not merely copying our technology. They're improving it. The research base on their moon just went dark. Voss slammed his fist against the command console. How is that possible? Our quantum shielding should be impenetrable to their level of technology, Doran explained. That's just it, sir. Den's voice crackled through the command channel, her tone a mixture of fear and fascination. They've weaponized the enhancement process. The humans stationed at these facilities are experiencing accelerated evolution. Their brains are processing quantum calculations instinctively now. Another alert blared across the bridge, sending a fresh wave of panic through the crew. Vale's cybernetic eye pulsed frantically as she processed the incoming data. Commander, massive energy surge detected in their Pacific Ocean region. They've reverse-engineered our propulsion technology. The tactical display flickered, showing a new class of human vessel rising from the waves. It shouldn't have been possible. The design incorporated Armada technology, but with enhancements that pushed beyond anything the Armada had developed, creating something entirely new. Multiple launches detected, Vale continued. Doran, Voss growled, his skin turning a pale, near white in terror. Similar vessels emerging from all major oceans. They're using the water as coolant for fusion drives. We didn't even know they were building battle stations. Shut it down, Voss barked, but even as the words left his mouth, he knew it was too late. The human ships moved with impossible grace, their enhanced pilots utilizing their new neural capabilities to perform maneuvers that defied the laws of physics. They didn't attack, though. Instead, they formed a defensive grid around the planet, a hum of power emanating from their formation. Surveil, Den whispered, her voice tense. They're broadcasting again. Same frequency as before. The message appeared on every screen in the fleet. The humans had perfectly matched the Armada's most secure encryption protocols. The text was simple. Thank you for the upgrade. Shall we discuss terms? Commander Den cut in. You need to see these latest readings. The enhancement process, it's accelerating. The humans have found a way to concentrate the agent's effects. They're achieving controlled evolutionary leaps in minutes instead of hours. Footage from Earth flashed across the screens, showing the humans in action. Their movements now had a liquid grace, too fast for the eye to follow. Their scientists solved complex theoretical problems with an ease that made even the Armada's greatest minds look outdated. Even the children grasped concepts that had taken the Armada centuries to master. Fallback positions? Voss asked, already dreading the answer. Doran shook his head. Not possible, sir. They've matched our FTL signatures. Any retreat corridor we plot, they can predict and intercept. They're not just learning technology. They're extrapolating where it can go next. Surveil. Den's voice cracked with disbelief. New signal detected. They've breached our quantum network. They're downloading our entire technological database. The bridge descended into chaos as alert after alert streamed in. Systems across the fleet reported human infiltration, not through brute force, but through sophisticated solutions that rendered the Armada's best security systems obsolete. That's impossible, Den protested through the command channel. Even with their enhancements, they shouldn't be able to comprehend quantum encryption, let alone bypass it. You still don't get it, do you, Doctor? Voss replied, his gaze fixed on the tactical display as more human ships appeared. We didn't just enhance their bodies. We accelerated their potential. Everything they could have become over 1,000,000 years of evolution, we gave them in a single day. A new message flashed across the screens. Your weapons are now disabled. Your shields are under our control. We mean you no harm, but any further hostile action will be met with an appropriate response. Voss slumped into his command chair, all four arms falling limp at his sides. In a single day, humanity had gone from primitive targets to technological superiors. Their perfect weapon had created the perfect nemesis. Orders, Surveil asked softly. Send this to all ships, Voss commanded, his voice heavy with defeat. Stand down weapons. Deactivate all offensive systems. Prepare for diplomatic contact. The human vessels remained in their formation, a flawless barrier between Earth and the stars. They hadn't just survived the Armada's attack, they had turned it into the greatest technological revolution in their history. Sir, Den spoke again, her voice strained. The High Council is demanding immediate withdrawal of all forces. Voss watched the enhanced humans on his screens, seeing the power, the precision, the new awareness in their movements. Tell them it's too late for that. We didn't find a primitive species to conquer. We created our own successors. The stars outside seemed to dim as the weight of the situation settled in. Humanity hadn't just resisted, they had surpassed them. And this was only the beginning. 3 planetary rotations later, Commander Raider Voss stood before the High Council's emergency session, preparing to deliver the most humiliating report in Galactic Armada history. The council chamber chamber, normally filled with a sense of power and authority, now felt like a tomb. "Explain yourself, Commander," High Counselor Zenith Brell demanded, her crystalline form pulsing with barely contained rage. "How did the most advanced biological weapon ever created result in the emergence of a superior species?" Voss straightened his posture, accepting the crushing weight of his failure. "Honorable Council, Project Terminus performed exactly as intended. It targeted the human stress response system perfectly. What we failed to realize is that humans don't merely survive stress. They thrive on it." The chamber's holographic displays flickered to life, showing the transformed Earth. Human cities now gleamed with technology that seamlessly combined biological and mechanical engineering, advancements that even the Armada's greatest minds were struggling to comprehend. "Their diplomatic delegation arrives within the hour," Voss continued, his voice tinged with defeat. "They've requested this meeting, not as conquered subjects or even as equals, but as teachers." "Teachers," Second Counselor Dax Marin thundered, his energy form flickering with fury. "We ruled the stars when their ancestors still huddled in caves. And now," Voss replied quietly, his voice heavy with the weight of the truth, "they've achieved in 3 days what took us 10,000 years. The humans have not just mastered our technology, they've transcended it." Footage played across the council chamber's displays. Enhanced humans performed feats that seemed almost mythical. Their scientists had unlocked the deepest secrets of the universe, concepts the Armada had never dreamed of. Their children played with quantum physics as if it were nothing more than a simple game. "The situation is unprecedented," Vale added from her position behind Voss. "They've already made contact with 17 species we once considered primitive. They're sharing their enhancement process, teaching others how to unlock their own evolutionary potential." The council chamber erupted into overlapping voices of protest and panic. Voss remained calm, waiting for the chaos to subside before continuing. "There's more," he said, his scales dimming with the weight of the next revelation. "The humans have reviewed our entire historical database. They know about every species we've conquered, every civilization we've erased. They are opposing something they call the Restoration Initiative." "What exactly does that mean?" High Counselor Brell asked, her crystalline form flickering with curiosity. "They intend to rebuild every world we destroyed, restore every species we eradicated," Voss explained, his voice grim. "Not through force, but through the same enhanced evolution that transformed them. They're offering us a choice. Help them repair the damage we've caused, or step aside as they do it without us." The silence that followed was deafening. 10,000 years of Armada supremacy undone by a single failed attack on a world they had underestimated. "And if we refuse?" Second Counselor Dax Marin demanded. He activated his personal display, showing the new human defense grid that now surrounded their planet. "They control our weapons, our shields, our very technology," Marin continued. "But they haven't disabled our ships or imprisoned our crews. They're giving us the chance to choose our own path forward." The chamber doors opened, and a junior officer rushed to Vale's side. After a brief exchange, she stepped forward. "The human delegation has arrived, counselors," she announced. "Their ambassador requests permission to enter." Brell's crystalline form pulsed with resigned authority. "Grant the entry. Let us see what we have created." The doors opened once again, and a single human woman entered. She moved with liquid grace, her enhanced physiology evident in every step, but it was her eyes that held everyone's attention, glowing with the same purple hue as Project Terminus. "Greetings, High Council," she said, her voice carrying effortlessly across the chamber. "I am Ambassador Sarah Winter, on behalf of the newly unified Earth. I bring you an offer of partnership." Voss watched his leaders, beings who had once commanded the fate of galaxies, now rendered speechless by this transformed human. The perfect weapon had created something far more dangerous than an enemy. It had created a guardian for all the species the Armada had once considered beneath them. "We understand the fear that drove you to attack us," Winter continued. "The fear of the unknown, of losing control. We felt that fear ourselves when your weapon first entered our atmosphere. But we've learned to transform fear into growth, threat into opportunity. We invite you to do the same." She gestured, and the chamber filled with holographic displays. Worlds were restored, species revived, new possibilities unfolded. "Your weapon gave us the power to repair the damage of 10,000 years. The only question is, will you help us, or will you remain trapped in the past while the galaxy evolves without you?" Voss stepped forward, his military poise slipping as he faced the product of his greatest failure and, perhaps, his greatest success. Speaking not as a commander, but as someone who had witnessed the birth of something extraordinary, he said, looking directly at Winter, "I say we accept your offer. Let the Galactic Armada be remembered not for what we destroyed, but for inadvertently creating the force that restored balance to the cosmos." The council members exchanged glances, silent communication that only millennia of shared power could foster. Finally, Brel spoke. "Ambassador Winter, the High Council accepts your proposal. The age of conquest is over. The age of restoration begins." Winter smiled, and in that smile, Voss saw the future. Their perfect weapon had indeed destroyed something after all, not a species, but an era of darkness. As the council began its discussions with the human ambassador, Voss made his final entry in the military record. Project Terminus, designed to be the perfect weapon, instead became the perfect catalyst for change. In failing to destroy humanity, we succeeded in transforming ourselves. Perhaps that was the greatest victory of all.